Black metal has to be extreme in its sound, and it's the feeling you often have heard so much about when people talk about black metal. It's something you feel, and kind of a way of life more than an image.
Traditionally, it is just a name for like metal with satanic lyrics, but that's totally out of date.
It's not only about the music, it's also about a lifestyle that is going hand in hand with the music.
So if black metal is evil, okay, then we play in an evil Christian black metal band.
By the old definition of black metal, you could have black metal that sounded like country, if it was satanic.
It is extreme music. It is music with passion. It's music with feelings. It's for me, it's a music with a message, with a strong message.
It was some guys from England called Venom in the early 80s that they were very much into horror movies and heavy metal music. They liked Black Sabbath very much, but they wanted to make albums with satanic imagery on the covers and all these lyrics about Satan and waging war in the name of Satan and all this. And then the second album was called black metal, so that's where this term comes from. Then during the early 90s it developed into a musical style of its own, mostly in Norway and Sweden. It was a band called Mayhem, and the leader of Mayhem called himself Euronymous, and he was quite a strong character with a lot of ideas, quite extreme ideas, and he was good at selling himself. And he had a record store in Oslo called Helvete, and they also had some kind of room where these black metal musicians met and talked about how real black metal should be.
When Nuclear Blast decided to release Mortification, which was one of the first Christian death metal bands, there was a lot of boycotts going on. And then of course Nuclear Blast doesn't want anyone to decide what they should release, so then they released Horde.
I started the Horde project because I wanted to shine some light into the darkness. I wanted to offer the black metal community an alternative, a different way of looking at the world, all the darkness and the evil music that was coming out of Scandinavia in the early 1990s. I wanted to offer an alternative to that, a light version of that. Back in the early 1990s, looking all the way from Australia here over to Scandinavia and Norway and those countries, all I saw was black darkness in terms of the black metal culture. It was just so heavy and so evil and so oppressive and just so negative.
The first Christian black metal that I got hold of was Horde and Ancestor, and I think it was very much thanks to those two bands that the scene really developed.
The response from the black metal community when Helligersvart was released was quite negative. The black metal community certainly were pretty upset about it, pretty angry about it. There were some death threats and some people were quite upset about it. The Christian people were quite excited about it. They had the opportunity to listen to something new and something different and something they hadn't been exposed to before. It was never really intended for that purpose. It was more to shine some light into the darkness, as I said earlier, and to get a positive message out into the black metal community.
It's really up to anyone to call our style whatever they like. But on the other hand, you can't deny the fact that our style sounds like black metal.
Wholly un-black metal. It's not black metal. It sounds like black metal. It has all the musical attributes of black metal, the shrill buzzsaw guitars, the extreme shrill screamy vocals, the minimalist production, the blast beats, all of that stuff. But it has lyrics about God instead of lyrics about Satan and lyrics about darkness. So it can never ever be classified as black metal, because black metal is satanic metal. Black metal is about Satan. It's about that dark, evil, grim, horrible feeling. But un-black metal is, of course, the opposite to that, which is lyrics about God, even though it sounds the same.
And I think the reason why, for example, Christian black metal musicians use the term black metal is that they say that this is the type of music we are playing, and the music in itself isn't satanic. No music is ideological or religious in itself. You can use it for a lot of different messages. Instead they just called it black metal because that's the style they were playing in. And then, of course, they put the term Christian black metal to it to somehow define it out of this satanic dungeon.
We tried to take the music into a new dimension of brutality. We still wanted to find our own way to play brutal black metal.
A lot of bands are focused on the sacrifice of Christ, the death and the resurrection. Very strong themes. Blood, atonement.
It could be a message about the important matters of life and death. It could be a message of what's inside you, what really matters. It could be about love, and it's about hate.
People have a hard time to understand Christian, for example, death metal or black metal. They either haven't listened to black or death metal and understood the feeling, or they haven't read the Bible, because it's very, very black metal. Satanists who or secular people, whatever, who cannot understand the connection between the biblical or the Christian messages and really grim metal music. They have probably another view of Christianity than I have. And Christian people who can't understand, they just don't understand.
The forces of darkness can use this music because they claim to be Satanists, and then you can feel sort of that this band, this music is trying to spread some kind of emptiness and stuff like that. and you can also feel. I mean, there is a bunch of bands that I'm listening to that have quite self-destructive lyrics or destructive lyrics, and then I used to feel this kind of emptiness and stuff. But again, when there is band that are genuine in their hate, so to speak, and that are more into this style that you would call devil worshippers or true Satanists or whatever, then you can feel it more, maybe more powerful. It's like, it could be like a wall between me and the music. I feel that the music is there, but it's also a battle going on, because I serve the Most High Trinity, and the forces behind their music is the forces of Satan.
It's a free world. You can choose what you want to believe in, and as long as your heart is in it, I think you should. You should sing about what really matters, and everyone who can stand up for their own opinions is worthy of respect.
I have more respect for a band that claim to be Satanists and stands for that, and really are, than bands that are writing lyrics about other things that they don't stand for.
These Norwegian guys were talking about what true black metal should be, and of course they talked a lot about being truly satanic and not only playing music but to act out what they were believing in, and so they were talking about burning churches and talking about killing Christians, but no one did anything for some time. But then suddenly things started happening, and I'm not totally sure, but a lot of things point to this Varg Vikernes, that it was he that started doing things and not just talking about them.
I think a lot of the anti-Christian bands have some kind of misunderstanding about Christianity. Maybe they have been treated badly, or they have this picture of what Christianity is. And I think that some of the band members, some of the anti-Christian bands, believe in what they sing about.
They wanted to do a revenge on what some Christians did 1,000 years ago, and I think it's such a shame, to be honest, that these things had to happen.
You can say a lot of bad things about Christianity, and especially for a Christian today, we cannot stand for the way Christianity came to the country. It doesn't support the Christian. If you use the Bible to support it, you're not going to find any support in it. So I can definitely see it's people were upset back then, and now it was a bad thing for sure.
The worst is not the religious point of view, because the church, well, the house is just a house. The church, by the biblical definition, is the family of God, the people. So, and they didn't burn the people. So I think I'm more upset about it just because they are old and extremely beautiful. Well, they burnt down a church in Jönköping that was also wooden, very old, 13th century or something like that. And my verdict was that they shouldn't be let out of prison until the church is rebuilt again, exactly as it was, with the same wood. But maybe that's too harsh.
Revenge is keep on conceiving revenge, and hatred is keep on conceiving hatred. Vengeance is not, it's a temporary way to solve situation maybe, but it's not an everlasting way to do it.
If you are into black metal and you are claiming that you hate Christianity and are against everything that Christianity stands for, then of course you have to just say that you hate Christian black metal.
I mean, those people have never met us, and they want to kill us, and they want to beat us up, and they, yeah, all those kind of threats, and I think it's really ridiculous.
We were scheduled to play at Gates of Metal. Like 2 days after the news was released on their webpage, they had a thread in the guest book called Religious Lunatics, and half of the people was like very pissed that we were allowed to play, and the other half was very pissed at those who were pissed. Yeah, shut up, go take a beer instead if you don't like the bands, fucking faggots. They were very, you know, it was other not Christians that were like, come on, let it go. It's just a good break for beer. If you don't like the band, it's like commercial in telly. So, and there was a lot of angry people, and a lot of people angry at the angry people. And after we played, it was just a positive response. So it was it was very nice that everybody changed their opinion after we played instead of the other way. It would be pretty boring if everyone, oh, I'm so excited, and then we just sucked. That would not be so nice. Crimson Moonlight had a show somewhere in Europe, and there was this dude in the audience that didn't like them because they were Christians. And Pilgrim, he has this bowl of incense. He has a lot of sacramental stuff in the show. And when he had put it down and was somewhere else on stage, this dude jumped up and started to jump on his incense. And of course, you know, Pilgrim is a very nice guy. He's the kind that turns the other cheek over and over again. But don't jump on his holy things. Do not do that. So he pushed him back into the audience, and of course he got more angry, and then he wanted to get up on stage and beat the crap out of him. And then the sword came in handy. He always has those swords and stuff on stage, so he used his sword for the rest of the concert to just keep him on distance.
They are threatening us because they are feeling threatened or scared of what we are doing. I can't see any other ground for these actions, because if they were not scared or threatened about Christian black metal, then they wouldn't care. Then they just would let it pass away.
Why is it so important to be black metal, or to be unblack, or not to be this and that? Why don't you just let us play our music?
If you listen to the music and don't read the lyrics, you would probably call it black metal, even if you were into satanic black metal.
Jesus was a rebel against the system. He was crucified for his opinion, and maybe it's a contradiction for some people, but for us it's the most natural thing in the world to play brutal music and with a brutal message.
Some Christians, of course, are very skeptical, but mostly, and I say mostly nowadays, people are getting used to it, so to speak.
One of the most vehement enemies, or aggressive enemies of the Christian rock of any form, is a guy in the US called Terry Watkins, and he writes a lot of stuff on the net about how evil rock music is. Christian rock music is, of course, just as evil as any rock music, because rock music is evil in itself. I don't know what to say about it.
An 80 or 70 years old woman are claiming our music to be the devil's music or something like that. Maybe that's not happening actually very often. But if they should do it, or if they should call it maybe terrible music or dark music or whatever, I could understand it, and I had no problem at all with that. And the scary thing is when people in my own age or 10 years older than me make such claims and are serious about it.
We have this Cornerstone Festival, like 45,000 people listening to a bunch of Christian bands. Moonlight has been there to play. It's everything from rock to really, really hard black metal. And there are like groups of Christians around the area with protesting, and of course nobody cares about that, but they are free to protest as much as they want to, of course. But there are still those that cannot accept it, but on the other side, they shouldn't have to.
My thoughts about Christian black metal, I think it's one of the most natural musical styles and genres for Christians to get into, because it's so closely related to images and ways of thinking about religion as the early evangelicals did. I think it's not a big step for a young Christian to get into black metal, and also it's to play really, really good black metal, you have to be a good musician, and among the evangelical churches there are a lot of really good musicians So as soon as they have stopped having second thoughts about what they are doing and really getting into playing this extreme music, then they are usually playing very good, high-quality black metal. And I personally think that a band like Crimson Moonlight really is the best Swedish black metal band we have. I don't think these Marduk and Dog Funeral and these established bands that are playing and making as good music as Crimson Moonlight has done on the last 2 albums.
The black metal got real big in the mid-90s, also because there was a lot of wannabes joining the scene. A lot of people who was just drawn to this mystic black thingy that old ladies were scared of and priests were scared of, and having their little rebellion. But all in all, when it comes to serious black metal, I think it's actually just a bunch of really dedicated musicians who really like this extreme expression.
One of the head reasons that I continue doing this is because it's a paradox. And that I want to say in combination of what I said about the essence of true Christendom. It's a paradox indeed. It's a paradox that God became human. And sometimes a paradox could help you to get a deeper and wider and broader perspective.
I mean, it's describing the same struggle of humanity to find how does the word work, why are we here, what is good and what is evil, and how should we behave against each other. This is what religion is about, struggling about these things and finding a way. And you can't find this without using both the dark and the light forces. So they're all connected in all religions. You have all these different imageries, and so black metal is about the same thing as Christianity or Judaism or Islam. It's about finding a way in this world, and if you're not an atheist, you have to somehow relate to the higher forces, and that's what black metalists do, and that's what Christians are doing. So it's different expressions of the same struggle in humanity.
A lot of the scene is thinking more about the lyrics and the music they like, and they don't like the black metal to be Christian.
Black metal is a tool which you can use to spread good or evil.
We had a lot of churches burning down in Norway, and well, their argument is, well, you Christian priests, you came 1,000 years ago when you burned down our temples, and now we're gonna burn you back. So, well, it seems like the struggle is still struggle for the same hill 1,000 years later.